Formula One is about speed, skill, and pushing the limits. But at the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, the headlines weren't about breathtaking overtakes, they were about controversy. The FIA handed out penalties that left drivers and fans furious. From Carlos Sainz's harsh punishment to Lewis Hamilton's shocking penalty, and the drama surrounding Charles Leclerc's move on George Russell. The question is clear: has the FIA gone too far? Are they protecting drivers or killing the racing spirit? Stay tuned, because what happened at Zandvoort could change Formula One forever. And by the end of this video, you'll decide, was this about safety, or was it a disaster for the sport we love? The drama began with a clash between Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz. A tense wheel-to-wheel fight went wrong at turn 1, and before long, the stewards dropped the hammer, a 10-second penalty for Sainz, plus 2 penalty points on his super license. On paper, that seems straightforward. But here's where the outrage begins. This wasn't an out-of-control dive bomb. It wasn't reckless. Sainz was alongside. He fought hard but fair. And yes, there was contact, but was it really worth such a severe punishment? Carlos Sainz didn't think so. The Spaniard was livid. He told reporters, "I suffered an incident that cost me another 10 points in the championship when I was executing one of my best weekends of the year." And he didn't stop there. The FIA always tells us their doors are open to clarify doubts, but honestly, I don't understand how they looked at that footage and decided I was at fault. In fact, Sainz suggested something even more controversial, that some drivers deliberately put themselves in situations where contact is inevitable, making sure rivals hesitate to attempt side-by-side racing. So what did the FIA say? In their official statement, the stewards wrote, "Car 55 attempted to overtake car 30 on the outside of turn 1. The front axle of car 55 was not ahead at the apex. Therefore, car 55 was wholly or predominantly to blame for the collision." Technically, that's within the rules. But here's the question fans are asking: if every minor touch is punished, are we stripping away the very essence of racing? If that wasn't enough to ignite the controversy, social media absolutely exploded over Charles Leclerc's daring move on George Russell. It was bold, aggressive, and fearless, the kind of maneuver that reminds fans why Formula One is the ultimate racing spectacle. For a moment, it felt like pure racing again. But then came the twist. Leclerc left the track while completing the overtake. Now, under the current regulations, leaving the track and gaining an advantage is usually a big no-no. Fans immediately wondered, will Charles get a penalty? Will this move cost him Monza? After the race, the FIA reviewed the incident and delivered their verdict: no penalty. On the surface, that sounds like the right call. Nobody wants to see every brave move penalized. Racing needs risk, it needs drama. But here's where the contradiction hits like a punch. If Carlos Sainz received a 10-second penalty for minimal contact in a fight for position, why does Leclerc escape after leaving the track during such a decisive move? Even Toto Wolff voiced his thoughts, saying, "We don't want Charles to get a grid penalty ahead of Monza because of this." But was it really an overtaking spot? No. You can try to squeeze, but that's never going to go. This is the core issue plaguing Formula One today: inconsistency. Drivers shouldn't be second-guessing themselves in the heat of battle. They shouldn't have to think, if I go for this, will the stewards punish me? That hesitation kills the instinct that makes great racing moments possible. When drivers start holding back, racing loses its edge. And predictable racing, that's the death of excitement. The FIA has a decision to make. Do they want a rigid rule book or the thrilling wheel-to-wheel battles that define Formula One? Just as the dust was settling on the Leclerc-Russell debate, another bombshell hit. The stewards announced a penalty that sent shockwaves through the fan base. Lewis Hamilton was slapped with a 5-second penalty and 2 penalty points on his super license for failing to slow sufficiently under double yellow flags. Now, before anyone screams bias, here's the full picture. The race director had informed all teams that the last corner before the pit lane would display double yellows to ensure safety. The FIA examined Hamilton's telemetry and confirmed he slowed down by around 20 km/h. But according to the rules, that wasn't enough to count as significant. Sounds reasonable on paper, right? But here's where things get complicated. Hamilton didn't even finish the race at Zandvoort. That means he'll serve this time penalty at the next event, Monza. And this isn't just any penalty, it broke a streak. For the first time in 51 consecutive race weekends, the 7-time world champion picked up penalty points on his license. Fans were furious. Social media erupted with questions. If the FIA knew this needed reviewing, why didn't they sort it during the race? Why delay the verdict and affect another Grand Prix? This isn't just about Hamilton, it's about timing, consistency, and fairness. When decisions spill over into future races, it creates a ripple effect that changes championships. And that's the real issue. In a sport where milliseconds decide glory, delayed justice feels like no justice at all. But Hamilton wasn't alone. Under scrutiny, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg, and even Max Verstappen faced investigations for driving too slowly between the safety car lines. During reconnaissance laps, the verdict: no penalties because they only slowed down to let other cars through. Fair enough. But here's the underlying problem. If the stewards dig deep enough into the rulebook, they can penalize almost anyone. That's not a sport, that's illegal. Battle. Let's pause for a moment. Why do we love Formula One? Because of speed. Because of bravery. Because of battles that make us leap off the couch and scream. But right now, it feels like the FIA is strangling that spirit. If they stick to the letter of the law, fans accuse them of over-policing. If they show flexibility, people scream inconsistency. It's a lose-lose situation, but the ones truly losing are the fans. We don't tune in for endless steward reports, delayed verdicts, and podiums decided in backrooms. We want pure racing. We want hard fights. We want the winner to cross the line and celebrate without worrying about what the FIA might decide hours later. As one fan tweeted during the chaos, "Just let them race. That's all we ask." But here's the bigger question: what's next? If the FIA doesn't find balance, drivers will stop taking risks. They'll stop going for bold moves, and when that happens, the show suffers. Because without danger, without drama, without that thin line between genius and disaster, Formula One becomes just another motorsport. We've seen this before. Remember when drivers complained that races were becoming too predictable? When overtakes dropped because no one wanted to risk a penalty? We're heading back to that era, and that's not good for anyone. Fans don't want penalties to be the headline. They want racing to be the headline. So, here's the question I'll leave you with. Is the FIA saving lives or sucking the life out of racing? Should Carlos Sainz have been punished for a hard-fought battle? Should Charles Leclerc have escaped without penalty for leaving the track during an overtake? And was Lewis Hamilton's punishment fair, or just another example of rigid rules overshadowing common sense? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one. And if you love deep dives into the drama and politics behind Formula One, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with fellow fans, and subscribe with the bell on. Because next time, we're breaking down the chaos heading into Monza, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. Formula One is more than racing, it's adrenaline, drama, and pure passion. But if the FIA keeps tightening the reins, that magic could vanish in the steward's room. What do you think? Drop your thoughts below. Smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more F1 deep dives. Thanks for watching.